Hi, this is Sergeant Betsy Brantner Smith with the National Police Association, and this is the National Police Association podcast. You know, a few weeks ago, I was on a radio and video show with a bunch of other guests, and one of them was the CEO of what I know to be the premier uniform company in the United States. And I started listening to what he talked about and some of the things that are happening. And I thought, wow, I need to talk more to this guy, and you need to meet him. So, Mike Fadden, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Beth. It was a pleasure being on with you on the Leo Roundtable, and I'm excited to be here today with you.
So you are you're not a first responder, but you clothe and equip first responders around the United States and internationally as well.
North America, I would say.
Okay. And yeah, that's a pretty big job. Tell us about Galls and the kind of the evolution of the company and how you came to be the CEO.
Yeah, I'm not a first responder, but I'm the son and grandson of two retired police officers. So I came to Galls 5 years ago with just a passion for what officers do. What we talk about here at Galls is we serve the heroes that keep this country safe. I tell our people all the time that we have the best customer base in the world. Customers that run towards danger, not away, and they earn our very best effort every day. And that's what we're going to do, is we're going to give them our very best effort every day. So the last 5 years, I've been totally focused on the officer experience, making sure that they're getting the best products possible, and they're getting them when they need them on time.
So I have to tell you that I'm so old that we passed around the Galls catalog in roll call. It was paper, and we were all like, "Hey, if we can order enough cool stuff, maybe we can get a discount, things like that." Because a lot of people don't know that some police departments, especially small ones, the officers have to buy all their own stuff. Other medium-sized agencies, like where I was from, we got provided with some things, or we got a uniform allowance. But a lot of cops have to buy their stuff with their own money, and I know that Galls is sensitive to that. Talk about that.
Yeah, we are. Let me back up just real quick. I knew the day that the Galls catalog was going to hit my dad's mailbox when I was a kid. And my first day on the job, I walked in all excited. I said, "Okay, guys, show me the next catalog to go out." And they said, "Mike, we don't print catalogs anymore. Are you from the 70s? And I said, "You know what? That Galls catalog is special to officers. And as of today, we're going to start printing the Galls catalog again." So it's alive and well. So I was proud to bring that back. But yeah, I mean, there are so many places in this e-commerce world that we live in, where officers can buy their gear. But listen, we not only exist to serve officers, but we invest a lot of money in charities that support law enforcement and organizations that support law enforcement. A lot of money. We just signed on to be the we haven't even announced this yet, so maybe I'm jumping the gun, but we just—
Yay, breaking news. I love it.
We made a big investment to be the premier sponsor for the National Law Enforcement Hall of Fame, Megan Stockberger. She's doing great work.
She really is.
We work really hard with the COPS organization, Concerns of Police Survivors. I could go on and on and on. So what I would ask is, you can go spend your money a lot of places, but a lot of those sites are owned by companies that are anti-law enforcement, oddly enough. And there isn't a company in the world that's more pro law enforcement than Galls. So I would just ask people to give Galls.com a try when you got to come out of your own pocket for your gear. During defund the police, so many big companies kind of hid and kind of turned their back on law enforcement, and we weren't shy when when law enforcement was taking shots. We were right there with them. We weren't shy about it. We stand by law enforcement. I just hope officers stand by Gulls as well.
I love that because what law enforcement needs to think about, and other first responders, is I know it's easy to jump on your Amazon app and click, click, click and order a pair of boots. But on that same site, you can order an F the Police t-shirt to go with that. So why would you want to put your money toward an organization that frankly actively works against our profession? So I really appreciate that because you're absolutely right. Post 2020, post the death of George Floyd, a lot of quote unquote pro law enforcement companies kind of went dark and didn't really want to talk about their support of law enforcement. And I remember Gulls as being one of those companies that unabashedly supported this profession. And so I love that the multiple charities you're involved in. I also love the fact that over the years, over the decades, Gulls has really evolved as this profession has evolved. And one of the most extraordinary ways you're doing that currently is the evolution of uniforms and other clothing and gear for women. And let me just say that when I went and bought my first police uniform in December of 1980, yes, I'm that old, I had to go to the store, pick out a pair of men's pants. They had to chop about a foot off of the hem, and then they had to have a lady sew darts into the waistband to the point where my back pockets touched. And and I wore those kind of pants for probably 15 years. So talk about some of the new things you have for women.
Yeah. So in the uniform industry, it's a dirty secret. They call it pink and shrink. So take a men's uniform, make it smaller, and put a pink zipper on it. I think that's BS. And every time I spoke to a female police officer or female chief, and with the female chiefs, I wanted to talk about growing their business and equip our customer portal and selling them more stuff. And they wanted to talk about when was I going to fix the female uniform issue. So finally, after years of that, I said, all right, we are going to fix this. There was a small company called Her Blue Wear. It was founded by Denise Sack. Very small company. Her sister is in law enforcement, and she made her a uniform that was designed for a woman. And she had a cult following. The women that knew about her loved her uniforms.
I was one of them.
Yeah, okay. Because they're the first and only uniform specifically designed for a female police officer. So I met Denise. I was really impressed, and we bought the company. And she's on our payroll, and she's going to help us. She wasn't big enough to have the resources to launch this nationwide. We were at NALI, National Association of Women Law Enforcement Executives. I know you know what that is, but I'm saying it for the rest of your audience, maybe. That we did our soft launch there. I was there with Denise, and it is clear that we got a winner here. That the market is starving for this, and we'll launch it nationwide officially coming up in the third quarter. So we are so excited to bring this to the female officers. And listen, it's just not about the fit. After doing some market research, I mean, because the waistbands are in the wrong spot, the body armor doesn't fit right, and that's a safety issue at that point. If that body armor is off just a little bit, it can mean the difference between life and death. And the duty belt sits wrong on the hips, which causes back issues. So I'm really proud to bring this finally way past due to bring a female police uniforms designed for female police officers.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. We're so excited about that. Now, when you talk about uniforms for everyone, again, when I go back, 40 some years, the even the fabrics that we wore, we had fabrics that didn't breathe, shoes that fit horribly and were very uncomfortable. Honestly, it was a safety issue. It was a morale issue sometimes, and it was a physiological issue. What changes has Galls made over the decades, since your dad was on the job, let's say, to make life better for your average patrol cop or your average SWAT officer?
Yeah. Well, listen, we view police officers as athletes. And athletes don't wear wool uniforms like back in the day, right? So, a lot more moisture with wicking fabrics. We're trying to get more weight off the hips and onto a load bearing vest, with Molly, etc. We were talking about this before the show, just, in shoes and boots, you were doing a foot chase in little shoes not designed for foot chases. And there's some companies out there. We have our own private label Galls duty boot, but you got Under Armour, Oakley, Bates, all making really good boots that meet the physical rigors of the job. We are launching we have launched a tactical pant called Mission Made. It's our own private label, and I had a board of directors meeting this morning, so I'm dressed up. But usually I would stand up and show you. I wear Mission Made tactical pants to work every day. They're great, and they move with you, and so we're excited to bring that innovation to officers as well. So yeah, just a lot of innovation that's happened from back 30, 40 years ago.
Right. So I have to ask you, so, raised in a police family, you turned out relatively normal for that. But what was it like to come into the industry as the CEO at a time where law enforcement, frankly, wasn't very popular?
Yeah, it's a interesting story to tell now. Well, first of all, I've been in the uniform business for 25 years. I worked at Airmark Uniform Services for 25 years. So when this job came open, it was like my dream job. Because I've always had I grew up idolizing people that wore the badge. And now I got to serve them. I started 3 days after the George Floyd incident, which ushered in defund the police. So yeah, it was a rough start. And I think Galls, listen, when I got here 5 years ago, what I found was the bones of this great company that I knew as a child were still here, but I think they had lost their way a little bit from a service perspective. And when I started, I'd walk down in our distribution center 5 times a day and cut open 10 boxes right before they went on the truck. So I was cutting open 50 boxes a day. And what I saw was not acceptable to me, because again, these people earn our best every day, and they weren't getting our best. So I started putting this card in every box. Got my ugly mug on the front, but on the back, it's got my email address. And I asked customers for their feedback, and boy, I got a lot of feedback. and we just got really focused on listening to officers and taking care of their issues. Um, and we turned this company around really quickly. And today we enjoy 99.8% customer service. I'm sorry, customer retention. And I don't get very many nasty emails anymore, but these still go in to every box. So, you know, Betsy and I were talking about when you can go a lot of places to buy online, but if you buy from Galls and you need help or you're not happy with what you get, that card will come in the box and you can email me directly and I'll take care of it.
I love it. You know, I think the general public probably is unaware that in addition to, you know, making uniforms for, you know, us to get down and dirty in the mud and the blood and all that, law enforcement has various best dressed cops contests. There's several of them around. Some are regional, some are national, and they're pretty cool because and I've been in a couple, and usually you put forth, you know, all your different uniforms, your honor guard, your patrol, your command, you know, SWAT, all that cool stuff. And where does Galls fall into all that?
Yeah, there's our industry association is called the National Association of Uniform Manufacturers and Distributors, NAUMD. And every year they name the best dressed agency, and a Galls customer has won 10 out of the last 11. So we're pretty proud of that. And you know, there's so many great chiefs out there that I have the pleasure of working for and working with, but you know, just a couple names come to mind. Manny Morales, Chief Manny Morales in Miami, Chief Mario Foster. He runs the Bureau of Printing and Engraving in Washington. Those are two past winners, and those two gentlemen just take the uniform so seriously, and they're so focused on every detail. It just permeates their organization. I've heard the saying attributed to both Deion Sanders and Jerry Rice, but it's the old look good, feel good, play good. You know, an officer in a great looking uniform, just they feel different. They feel different about their job. They have that command presence that helps them do their job better.
Well, yeah, it's an officer safety issue. When you know, the FBI's been studying this for decades. When a police officer shows up on a scene or on a traffic stop or whatever and looks completely squared away and presents themselves as such, bad guys are less likely to attack us.
Right. That's right. It's important, and we're proud to play a small role in the mission and in our role to keep officers safe.
You know, right now we're seeing federal agents under attack because everybody thinks anybody in a brown, tan, green uniform is ICE coming to raid something. What are your thoughts on that when you see these officers out there just trying to do a job? A lot of them are probably in your uniforms. You know, what are your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, well, at Galls we have a saying: not all heroes wear capes, but most of them wear Galls. So a lot of those people are Galls customers, and yeah, they're just trying to do their jobs. And listen, I got to be careful not to get too political here because I'm really passionate about it. But when people ask me these questions, and listen, I do a lot of interviews, and sometimes people try to trip you up. You know that very well.
Oh, yeah.
But what I try to say is just imagine your personal life for a second without cops. Let's just stop and really think about that. And I think more often, I mean, there's some people that you're just never going to get through to, but it does help when you really force people to stop and think. What would life be like without cops? And I think it's terribly misguided energy to further a cause that shouldn't be furthered. And what I try to do is, listen, anytime I see an officer in a restaurant, in a gas station, I'm trying to pick up the tab. I'm not sure everybody has to do that, but we should just take the, anytime you see an officer, we should take the time to just thank them, because they're doing tough duty, and they should be revered in this society. And it hurts me personally when they're not, like what you're seeing on the news today. It's just wrong. Um, I would just ask, that's what I ask everybody when I get these types of questions is, they earn our respect, and we should give it to them every time we see one.
Ah, I love that. So well said. You know, you're the boss of a large organization. You came in, you made a lot of changes, improved a lot of things. Um, what are your kind of favorite leadership principles? Just, because we talk a lot about leadership in the law enforcement profession. But what about leadership in general? Give me your thoughts on good leadership.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm blessed to work with some of the most amazing people. I guess you could go elsewhere and make a little bit more money than working at Galls. People work at Galls because they love our mission. So listen, I'm just one person on a really big team, but the people here are outstanding. But from a leadership perspective, I think leading from the front is the most important thing. When the CEO is going to put his personal email on every order and actually deal with every single one that comes in, every email, every phone call that comes in, that sends a really strong message to the organization. And that's what leading from the front means. So, if the CEO is willing to do that, if he's, I walk by and thankfully we don't have a lot of them, but if I hear an angry customer on the phone, I want to help. And when you do things like that, the rest of the organization sees where the bar is for taking care of customers. So I think leading from the front is super important. And then again, what I have some speeches, some canned speeches that I give, and one of them is called computer chips or potato chips. So in that speech, I talk about whether you're manufacturing computer chips or potato chips, two industries that are very, very different. It comes down to two things: taking great care of your employees and thrilling customers every day. I've kind of just always used that I learned that early on. And no matter what business you're in, it's about people, and you got to take care of your people, and you got to thrill customers every day, which is what we try to do at Golf.
I want to go back to that catalog because I really find it fascinating that you're bringing that back at an age where everything is about social media and your website and e-commerce and all that. Talk to me about again where that came from.
Yeah, like I said, I walked in, five in a little over 5 years ago, and I was so excited to see the catalog and actually be able to have a say in the catalog. I was so fired up about it, and they laughed at me. And I kind of slunk back to my office, kind of embarrassed. And I reminded myself that I was the CEO, and I got to decide that we were going to have the catalog. So it took me about 2 years to get it from dead to, but yeah, we're our third one since I've been back. This is last year is going to print probably in Q3. So yeah.
I love that. Now I know you guys have great social media. Tell me where people can go to find out, to see your stuff, to find out more about Galls, get to the website, things like that.
Yeah, it's funny. We're just now starting that. I didn't want to do a whole bunch of marketing until I felt like we were ready to tell the story. And I don't think you can honestly tell the story unless your service is outstanding. And it took me a couple of years to get us there. So just in the last 6 months, I've hired a director of marketing to start telling the story. So our our social media game has got a lot to be desired. So it's going to be awesome. But we're just now starting to really ramp that up. Because listen, marketing is convincing people to think one thing, whether it's true or not. I didn't want to tell the story until it was true. And now we can say we give the best service in the industry. But listen, you can, if you're on LinkedIn, I'm on, you can look me up on LinkedIn. I shoot a lot of videos. There's one on there right now. We shoot those in-house, and without me knowing it, I'm not an actor by trade. They have a really tough job to make these videos, and they saved up all my bloopers. And we just put that on my LinkedIn the other day, and I've got a lot of feedback on it. It's pretty embarrassing because there's a lot. The bloopers that are on there are probably only like 10% of the total. But yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, but our social media game is going to get a lot better here going forward, because now we're ready to tell the story.
Well, and I love that, because again, part of leadership is being able to be vulnerable. It's being able to laugh at yourself and laugh with your people. And that's very often that's lacking in law enforcement, and it's I know it's lacking in the private sector as well. So I appreciate that, and we really look forward to that. And Mike, I got to tell you, law enforcement is so appreciative of the support that you have brought back to Galls, the support of everything. From police officer mental health and beyond, and we really appreciate that. So gosh, I wish we had more time. Yeah. But we got to go, and I want to thank you for spending time with us today. And if you'd like more information about the National Police Association, you can visit us at nationalpolice.org.
Every day, the brave men and women of law enforcement put their lives on the line to keep us safe. But they need our help to continue their mission. Activist politicians, progressive prosecutors, the ACLU, and the rest of the anti-police forces receive millions in donations from extremist pro-criminal elements like George Soros and woke corporations. The National Police Association is fighting them in courts around the country, including the United States Supreme Court, defending officers who are being attacked for doing their jobs. Additionally, the National Police Association works year-round to pass tough-on-crime legislation to put and keep criminals behind bars. Consider going to nationalpolice.org and donating to keep us in the fight. Together we can win. That is nationalpolice.org.